Well, it's been a bit, and I think it's time I share my story on my experience with workplace harassment and bullying. Do you want to say a little disclaimer for those of you who do know me in real life and do know the name of the establishment that I will be talking about? Please keep it to yourself. Please don't go out of your way to make rude comments or anything towards the establishment or of the person who I'm going to be speaking about. I will not be naming any names of the person nor the establishment to keep people's identity hidden, as well as their privacy concerns. My goal of this is literally to share my story and my truth and to help others who have been in similar situations or who are in similar situations. So in order to get the full depths of the story, I need to go into a little bit of my history. So I am a hairstylist. I've been in the hair industry for 13, 14 years now. Now, the place that I am going to be talking about is a hair salon. I started there in 2017 and I stopped working there in 2023. When I first started there, I was actually putting myself through business school and I was majoring in entrepreneurship. I started there part-time and I worked two different part-time jobs. Due to me having bad experiences with salons before, just due to the culture and dealing with gossip and unnecessary bullcrap, I was nervous and apprehensive about going into a salon again, but when I came across this salon, I instantly fell in love. I loved the culture of it. I loved the experience of it. I loved my coworkers. Everything about it was a great experience up until the last year that I was working there. Because I was putting myself through business school and I learned a lot in management and marketing and everything. In 2019, I actually got promoted to a marketing manager position where I took control of the social media and did all of that stuff. And then in 2020, I got promoted again to assistant manager. In my assistant manager role, I took on, daily manager duties. I did the orders, I did the social media, I helped with the running of the salon, I would set up meetings with our sales rep, I knew how to run that business like the back of my hand. I dealt with dealing with the accountants, with all of that type of stuff. Now, the salon did have an owner and manager, and that is who was bullying me and harassing me by the end of it. Now, this wasn't always like that. Her and I literally felt like we were just so tight. She was not only my boss, a colleague, a partner, she was a friend that I held near and dear to my heart. She was someone who I confided to on multiple different occasions due to what was happening in my personal life and all of that type of stuff. So this ended up being a really bad betrayal because I didn't think she felt this way. I didn't think she was like this. It kind of blindsided me a little bit. Now, for the most part, my relationship with the owner was pretty good. Like I said, we were friends, we were colleagues, we were partners. As she was the owner, I was the assistant manager. I literally started part-time. I worked my way up in the company. Like, I loved my job. I loved my clients. I just loved it. It was part of my identity for a long time. I mean, I was with the company for 6 years. Now, even though my work life was really good, during that time when I was working there, my personal life and my home life went through a lot of up and downs. When I started there in 2017, I was actually moving out of a situation with roommates, which wasn't a good situation. Ended up with us going to court. It was just bad, but I don't really want to get into it too much. Moved in with another roommate, and then actually in 2019, I dealt with a really bad flood, and there was a dispute with the landlord, and I had to move. So I decided to move in with a partner at the time, only lived with him for a couple of months, realized that this isn't the situation for me, not the relationship for me, and I needed to get out of there. Ended up moving in with my brother in our hometown and in our childhood home just before the pandemic hit, so in 2020. I moved back home with my brother and things were going good, but during the summer of 2020, I was living in the basement and the basement actually flooded again. And this brought up a lot of PTSD from the huge flood I had from the year before. Now, granted, when I go through stuff, I make jokes. And it wasn't uncommon for me and my boss to make jokes at my expense, literally be an ongoing joke of how it was literally my life was a series of unfortunate events. After the flood, I took time to really As the pandemic started and salons shut down, I took that time to focus on my own business. I went to school for a reason for business. I wanted to start up my own business on the side, and everything that I did, literally my full-time job came before my side hustles. Anytime the salon shut down, I took that time to either take a course online or to help my side hustle in any which way or possible. Now, throughout this, my boss seemed very supportive throughout all of this. She would give me ideas of things that I could sell on the side, or maybe I could do this or do this. Part of what I do is dreadlocks, and she was very supportive on dreadlocks and knew that's what I wanted to do, and had no problem with me selling my dreadlocks to people on the side and then installing them at the salon. Like, it wasn't abnormal for me to be doing multiple things on the side, especially since when I started there I had multiple jobs. So me doing multiple things was not anything out of the ordinary. Now in 2022, things started to take a turn for me. I was dealing with a lot of heavy stuff with just my family dynamics and everything, and I knew the best course of action for me was to move out of where I was living. With living in my hometown and in my childhood home, I felt very limited. I felt that I couldn't be at my full potential or work at my full potential, and a lot of my creativity endeavors were very limited to the space that I had. Now, at this time, my brother was also going through a lot of stuff, and I was trying to be there as emotional support and supporting him in any way that I could. But it did take a toll on me mentally. And there were times where I confided in my boss to what was going on in my life, and she was nothing but supportive at that time. Towards the summer to the end of 2022, I decided to reconnect with my father. Me and my biological dad never really had a relationship due to various reasons. I don't really want to get into that too much. But in 2022, I reconnected with him, and that's when things really started to shift and change. Suddenly, I healed a part of myself that was missing for so long. I always wanted a relationship with my father, and I do feel that when that happened, that shift happened internally, but it also happened externally, meaning as I showed up different. I wasn't so like rigid and insecure, and it just healed me in so many ways that I can't even explain. Also, at the end of 2022, I met a guy and we really hit it off. We bonded over business and entrepreneurships and how we both wanted to pursue that. Things really had shifted at the beginning of 2023. I was at a position where I was planning to move out on my own. Didn't know exactly when. I knew it was going to be at some point that year that I was going to make that change and I was going to move out and live out on my own. At the time, she seemed very supportive over this, didn't really have any questions of concern. Beginning of 2023, I wanted to shift and change some stuff because I did so much work of advertising for the salon as a whole. I wanted to shift the focus from advertising just for the salon as a whole to advertising to each stylist. If you ask any hairstylist, they will tell you the reason why they became a stylist is because they loved the connection that they had with their clients. So my goal was, well, if we love the connection we have with our clients probably love the connection they have with us as well. So I wanted to focus and make it more personable and talk about what each stylist likes, what their personality is, what they specialize in, or what type of hairstyles that they like doing or colors that they like doing, just so that gives a sense of when clients start looking at the salon, they could really get more personable and pick the stylist that they seemed fitting for them. I made a little questionnaire for all the girls to kind of fill out and handed it to all the girls. All the girls had no problem filling it out whatsoever. I handed it to my boss and she kind of just shrugged it off and just forgot about it. But a month later, I brought it up very like casually and was just asking like, hey, like, do you think you could fill this out? At that moment, she got extremely defensive, and said, well, I don't like that idea. I'm not going to sit there and read this, so why would anyone else? And it was in that moment where I just felt this huge animosity. Like, where is this coming from? Like, this isn't the first time I've brought up little ideas or I've done this or this with marketing because I kind of had free range of what I was doing. So I was very taken back from it. I'm also the type of manager where I like to lead by example. So I make certain videos and stuff to show the girls, like, hey, look, this is what I want to do. And at that time, I decided to start shifting it from the salon and I started making videos for myself. So then I could advertise myself as a stylist again, and then B, I could show the girls like, hey, look, I made this video. This is what I want to do for all of you girls. When I started marketing the salon, the reason why I got the marketing job is because I marketed myself. They saw my growth on how well I grew myself online, and they wanted to promote me because they were like, hey, you can do this for you, so why can't you do this for the salon and we'll pay you for it? Okay, cool, awesome. But when that happened, I shifted from advertising myself as a stylist to just advertising for the salon. Advertising for myself as a stylist took a backburn. I didn't really do it that much. At that time, my boss was on vacation in Hawaii, and this is when she really started to micromanage me. I made a post on my Instagram and Facebook, and I got a message of her saying, like, hey, stop posting that. You need to focus more on salon stuff. So I said, okay, fine, whatever. I won't, I'll stop posting to advertise myself on salon time. I will do that on my own time. And yeah, sure, I will post just for the salon. And then she really started to micromanage me over something very little, going to get cream. We had a coffee bar in the salon and we had cream and all that type of stuff. Now, all the girls were with clients. So it was my admin day and I was doing the order. I was doing what I normally do on my admin day. And on my admin day is I run the front desk as well. So the phones are busy. I'm answering phones. I'm booking appointments. I'm doing all front end stuff while the girls are busy. She's texting me while she's in Hawaii, micromanaging me, asking me why I haven't got cream yet. And at this point, I'm like, why are you micromanaging me? Like, you're in Hawaii. Like, I've ran the salon so many times when you've been on vacation. I've ran this salon for years now. Like, okay, fine, I'll go get cream right now. And I did that. And then when she came back from Hawaii, her attitude and everything just changed. I'm not too sure what happened or why it changed. I have my assumptions, but I'm not 100% sure. I just know she went to Hawaii. She came back, things were different. When she went to Hawaii, I think that was around March, and April is my birthday. And for the past almost 6 years, this woman has literally told me happy birthday pretty much every birthday. And that birthday in 2023 was different. She didn't say happy birthday to me. She didn't look at me. Like, just her energy was just completely off. And then it made me feel uncomfortable because I'm like, how can I come into work when it's like, I feel like my boss hates me and I don't even know what the heck I did. I'm just trying to do my job. Me being me, I made sure that didn't affect my work ethic. I did my job, I did what I had to do while I still did everything on the side while I wasn't at work. So that means when I was advertising for myself, I would literally get to the salon before I clocked in. I'd be sitting in my car, I'd be posting stuff for my own side businesses or advertising myself for a stylist. I made sure like, okay, fine. If you want to start nitpicking me and micromanaging me, I'll just bump up my work ethic to where you have nothing to bitch and complain about. Now, at this time, me and my partner, we were deciding to start going in to do markets together. So he started up his little side gig, and then in May, I started to bring my stuff in and we would do markets together. That's what we did. At this time, like, her and I didn't really have much of a relationship. We didn't really talk. Things were just kind of getting awkward. At the end of May, I found a place to live. So in June, she had to be a reference for my landlord, which my landlord called her. She gave me a good reference. I thought everything was good. That is until I tried to book time off to move. Now, keep in mind, this would be my fourth move within the company. And booking time off to move in the past was never an issue. But this time, it was. And she went out of her way to make this move as difficult as she possibly could. To me, it seemed that she finally saw that I was happy. I had that shine back in my eyes. I was over the moon ecstatic. This was a very huge move for me. I never lived alone before. All of my places I've lived with roommates or family or partners, and this move was huge. And at the same time, we were changing prices at the salon. And this isn't the first time we've changed prices, but this go around, for some reason, it was such a big deal. Now, there was a bit of a miscommunication of what she wanted from me. She wasn't giving me proper direction. She was barely talking to me. Um, I didn't know which day she wanted me to change the prices on. I didn't know. Like, there was just a huge miscommunication. That day that I wanted to book off, I actually didn't have any clients at the time. And her reasoning for me to not book it off is because there was too many people that had the day off. Where there was her and one other girl that had the day off, and there was three of us in salon. And it just seemed very weird to me because there was times where literally there was just two of us at the salon or one of us at the salon, and I didn't get why she was trying to enforce this policy. It just seemed to me, like I said, that she was just going out of her way to make this move extremely difficult while giving me very high work demands at the same time. The weekend, I come back to work. I was waiting for her to talk to me about the price changes and stuff. She didn't. She ignored me. The next day, we were also changing the prices of all the products in the salon. So I was doing that, and this is when the first case of workplace harassment and bullying started, which she engaged in physical intimidation. Physical intimidation is where you engage in threatening behavior, whether it's physical or verbal, in result of making your employee uncomfortable. And that's exactly what she did. She came up to me very aggressive and told me to do my fucking job. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I am doing my job. Like, I am working. I am doing this. What do you mean? And she's like, I don't care. Like, do your fucking job. You haven't fucking changed the prices. Like, just rawr. And I am just like, what the hell? And normally I hold myself to a great respect of my bosses and the authority. And just the way she was coming at me, I literally looked at her and I was like, what is this about? She talked about price changing this and that. I mentioned that I felt that there was miscommunication. I felt like I wasn't given proper direction, everything like that. And she just kept going on to the point where I said fuck you to her. Because at the same time, like, I believe respect is earned, but respect is mutual. And how you're coming at me, you're not respecting me. You could have approached that situation so much differently than literally screaming at me, telling me to do my fucking job when I don't know what I'm doing because you're not giving me proper direction. So this then leaded into her getting very frustrated, her calling an upper manager to help with the situation. I went up to the front, changed the prices, which literally didn't take any time at all. Went outside to apologize for her, told her that, you know what, fine, I changed the prices, that's done. I'm sorry that I said that to you, but I do feel that you're coming off very aggressively, and at the end of the day, there was a miscommunication between us. Keep in mind, me changing the prices, it took 5 minutes. So if I was her in that position, I don't get why she couldn't do it herself. If it was such a big deal for her and she knew that I was preoccupied with literally moving the whole weekend and there was a miscommunication, that's something that I felt like she could have done on her own. The pressure shouldn't have been put on me. And I do feel like the way she did it and the way she approached it, it was literally to sabotage me. That's honestly what it felt like. We then had a meeting with an upper manager to where he was trying to talk to us about our miscommunication and everything. And she admitted, saying that, yeah, she doesn't talk to me that much because, quote unquote, I'm unapproachable. Then she brought up how I'm unapproachable because of stuff that is going on in my home life. To me, which then validated, I'm like, okay, so not only are you coming at me with physical intimidation, but now you're discriminating me against my home and marital status. Those of you who don't know, discrimination is treating those differently or unfairly based on their group of membership or anything like that. You can discriminate against race, age, religion, disability, as well as family and marital status. And she was discriminating against me through my family and marital status due to how my family life and what I was going through at that time that made me move. After that, I felt very unsafe in the workplace. I felt that I was getting treated so unfair for, in my mind, no reason. It just seemed that she was ganging up on me and bullying me for no reason. Um, my work ethic and stuff that I've done, it was never brought up in the past. I was always praised for how much I did at the company. She never brought up any issues that she had. The only issue that she brought up that she had was back a few months prior when she was micromanaging me and telling me to stop advertising for myself. This is when I decided to start documenting everything, because I felt like I wasn't being fully heard on how I was being treated. To put it in perspective, that happened in July of 2023. Now, from July all the way to November, it really progressed to the point where it was so bad to where I was forced to quit. So after that altercation happened, she literally continued with social exclusion, which is deliberately leaving someone out of meetings, events, conversations, or spreading rumors or gossip about them. She was trying to hire an apprentice, and she got another stylist to help her with all of this and literally left me out of all the conversations. Everything was done in secret behind my back, and helping with new hires and doing these manager duties was literally in my contract. So this made me feel very unsafe for my job security. There was actually one point where she was mentioning to another stylist that she's going to bring in someone else for marketing, out enough to where I could hear it, even though I was at a different place in the salon, but I could hear it. I took that to heart as well because I do the marketing, I do the managing. So not only are you getting another stylist to do my job duties that is in my contract, but now you're saying that you're going to bring in someone else for marketing. This continued on with the social exclusion from July when the altercation happened all the way to November for when I quit. All throughout this, I kind of kept to myself. I didn't let her get a reaction out of me because I just felt like that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to get a reaction out of me like she did during that first day of the altercation. Now, throughout this time too, I was doing markets, I was doing my own thing on the side. I was literally just working my life away just to stop focusing on what the unnecessary bullcrap and the drama of what was going on. But it was also very hard on my mental health and my mental well-being. Going into work and getting treated this way, it made me feel excluded. It made me feel exiled. I didn't know how to act. I literally just kept to myself. I put my head down. I tried to work as hard as I could. I kept myself busy, and I didn't involve myself with what was going on. Now, in the summer, this was in August, I did deal with an instance of sexual harassment with her. She had a friend. She's known this guy friend for years, and he had a son. And his son wanted to get booked in for a haircut with me. And I was literally sitting up at the front reception desk, and she's messaging this client through her phone on Facebook Messenger. And her friend starts me, saying things how he's going to try to get me to accidentally drop a comb so I could bend down so he could take a look at my ass, and just saying sex marks like that. And she was sitting there laughing, responding back and joking about it, showing me these messages. And that is a form of sexual harassment in the workplace. Not only was my boss joking about this and letting this happen, but she was showing me the messages. And that made me feel so uncomfortable because I'm like, now what? You're going to get your guy friend to come in here. And now I feel extremely uncomfortable to where I'm going to make sure I don't drop my comb. And, like it made me feel so uncomfortable. And not only that, it made me feel so disgusted of like, how can you treat your staff that way? You're going to let your friend treat your staff that way? And you're going to join in and laugh at their expenses? Like, I started to see a whole other side of her. And at this point, I'm like, I thought we were friends. I thought we were close. Like, I thought you were someone that I could trust. And at that point, you weren't. You weren't someone that I could trust. I felt so unsafe on so many different levels going into that place of work. Literally, like my anxiety, my depression, everything just started to skyrocket because I was just unhappy. But the reason what made me stay was my job security. It was the money. That, but a couple of days prior, she engaged in potential theft. Her and I were cutting two guys, like two little boys from the same family. She went up to me before their appointment and told me, hey, look, I'm not going to charge them for this kid's haircut just because it's their first haircut. I'm like, okay, whatever. I was still going to charge for my haircut. Fine, whatever. I finish my haircut. I get up to the front. She finishes her little boy's haircut. She goes up to the front. Now there's two different computers up at the front. So I'm sitting at one computer. She's sitting at the other computer. She is cashing out this client, and I just sense that she's just being very weird about it. I'm like, why is she being weird? Whatever. Brushed it off. I had to get up to get my station ready for my next client. I did that. Now, at the end of the day, up to the front to check my tips for the day, to where I saw that I didn't get a tip for these kids' cuts, but I saw in her tips that she did. So I was like, well, that's weird. Why did she get a tip and I didn't get a tip? Because normally what happens is we split the tip half and half. So I go into the file and I see that she freed out my haircut, but charged for her haircut. The opposite of what she said was going to happen. The opposite of what she said that she was going to do. So instead of not charging her kid's cut, she didn't charge my kid's cut, which means I'm out on that commission. Now, in the system that we had, doing that is not a simple mistake. To pick the client and the stylist, and it wasn't a simple mistake. I knew in that moment, I'm like, now she's trying to steal my commissions. Now she's trying to steal my money. I was absolutely furious. Because I'm like, how many times have she done this? Whether it was to me or to other stylists, and we just didn't realize that. Now, at that time, because literally the month prior, I had a meeting with her and an upper manager, and I didn't feel like I was being heard. I felt uncomfortable in my workplace that I just kind of kept it to myself. I went into the system and I switched it so that she got her haircut freed out and I got my commission for my haircut, and I just let her keep the tip because I didn't know what to do with that situation. So the whole month of August, I just felt extremely uncomfortable between the potential theft, the sexual harassment. I was literally seeing the darkness in this woman, and I was just appalled. Like, I'm like, what else is she going to do? And like I said, like, it just made me feel so uncomfortable to go to work. It affected my mental health. It affected my mental well-being. I was so sick going there. I literally just tried to rush the day and just tried to do my job and go home. And throughout all of this, she was still participating in social exclusion. So it was literally just one thing after another, after another, after another. And by the time September and October hit, I was at a point where it's like, I'm just done. Like, I don't know what else to do. I knew quitting was in my future, but I didn't really get forced to do it until the stuff with the social exclusion really started to take effect. Not only that, but I was treated very unfairly and signaled out when I was trying to take time off. There was the instance when I tried to take time off for moving. And then we had these little time off sheets that she made me make. The reasoning was she didn't want too many stylists to take off the same days and da 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 da. But there was multiple times where that happened in that year where multiple people had the days off. There was actually one day where I was in the salon. This was after I moved. I was in the salon by myself for 2-3 hours. These girls just weren't working, or she told a girl to come in later. So I literally felt like free labor for her at that moment. Now, I booked off a day in November. I put this time off request sheet up at the front. And she went up to the front, she saw it, she hid it. And I'd go back up to the front the next day after. Well, where'd my time off request sheet go? Well, she hid it. So I found it, put it back up, she did it again. She hid it. We played this passive aggressive game for a while, to the point where I just said, F it. If she doesn't give me the day off, I'm just going to quit because I need that day off. You know, all this bullshit leading up from July to, at that point, I think it was like October I was trying to book the day off. It was just one thing after another, and I just got tired of it. So eventually, a couple of the other girls wanted some time off. So she eventually did sign off on it, but at that point, I already made the decision that I was going to quit. So these are just the key instances of what happened, but I documented everything, and I had the days, and there was multiple days and everything. And when I decided to quit, I actually put my resignation letter. We had lockers in the back, and I put my resignation letter in an envelope and I taped it to her locker. I gave her 15 days notice, and she got it, and she didn't even acknowledge it. Like, she didn't say anything, nothing. So I reached out to the higher up manager, and I told him, like, hey, look, I put in my resignation. So and so didn't acknowledge it. I just want to make sure that it is acknowledged, and my last day is this day. He's like, yeah, for sure, no, but I do want to sit down and have a meeting with you because I am very sorry that you're leaving. You're a very good worker, you're a very hard worker, and it sucks when hard workers and good workers leave. So if I can figure out a way to make you stay, I would really like to do that. I said, okay, yeah, no problem. We can have a meeting. So I printed off I live in Canada, so it's my province. I did my research on my province rules and regulations on workplace harassment and bullying. I printed off everything. I wrote up my documentation of documenting everything that she has done since my last meeting with him. I presented it to him in this meeting, because he asked me, why are you quitting? I slid it over. This is why I'm quitting. I'm tired of getting treated this way. I'm being bullied. I'm being harassed. I'm being signaled out. And honestly, I don't know where this is coming from. She has a communication issue, which, like, instead of talking about me to the other staff, talk to me. You know, I've been a manager for 4 years at this establishment. Like, I'm honestly appalled that I'm being treated this way. And he agreed that, you know what, I'm going to talk to her, and then I'll get back to you. I'm like, okay, whatever. He never ended up getting back to me. At this point, I was very confused of what to do, because I wasn't leaving to go to a different salon. I was literally just quitting, and I was just hoping for the best at this point. My goal was to be self-employed, and I don't know. I was just following my intuition, and I just needed to quit, and I was quitting with nothing lined up. So I didn't know what to do with all of my clientele. What do you want me to tell my client? Like, I've been a huge asset to this company for so many years. The stuff that I did, like, I'm the only one with that knowledge. Like, do you want me to write it down? Do you want me to teach someone? Like, how do you want me to leave? The reason for this is we had a person prior to me leave. And when she left, they had this whole thing planned out for her. And she was just a stylist. Where it's like I held a managerial role. I was very, very confused. So eventually, 2 days before my last day, my boss came and actually acknowledged my last day and everything like that. She told me that HR would reach out to me and have a exit interview with me, which we had HR, we switched companies. I didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know that I was going to have an exit interview or anything. I was honestly going to take it one step above and go to the labor and occupational health and safety for my complaint. in my exit interview, that's actually when I filed my complaint. I told HR everything of what was happening, and they were honestly shocked. They told me, "Why didn't you tell us sooner?" I literally said, like, I didn't know that I could talk to you guys about this, like I knew we had HR, but I didn't know what roles you guys played. I didn't know what the policies were. I didn't know anything. And this was me as in a manager role. I didn't know because all of the stuff with HR was dealt with the boss in the HR, where the past HR I had a little bit more involvement in that. But with this HR company, I didn't. I ended up emailing my full complaint with everything in it to the HR. Told me that she will be passing this off to another HR company, and an investigation may or may not be done, because normally with these cases, they like to get the complaint in before the employee actually quits. But because my case is a little bit different, and I didn't know that was the policy, that they might tweak some stuff for me. So a little bit after I quit, I actually got a phone call from a different HR company, and she explained to me that she was investigating my case, and she had a couple of questions for me, just general questions of how I felt during that situation, what was my hopes from this, all that type of stuff. And literally, to my surprise, this woman commended me on how well written my complaint was. She told me that she's been in this industry for a long time. She's seen a lot of complaints, but she has never seen a complaint so well written and executed in her life. And she's like, as I was reading it, I knew exactly what was happening here. And I can assure you that there's going to be measures put into place, that this won't happen again. And that honestly, it validated my feelings so much, because when you're being bullied and when you're being signaled out, like, you just feel like it's all in your head, especially when you have the upper ups and telling you, no, 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 like, this is just her, or this and that and this and that. Like, it literally validated my feelings so much of, like, I knew it wasn't all in my head. Like, I knew this isn't right. A little bit after that, I actually was able to file with EI, which is unemployment. And due to me quitting with just cause, I was eligible for EI, which again was very validating, because most often with unemployment, they say, like, if you quit a job, you don't get unemployment. But because I quit with just cause, and I quit with a complaint, and I quit because if there was a reason why I quit, it wasn't of my own accord. It was how I was being treated by the boss. It was so validating on its own, but it didn't stop the grief. Now, when we quit a workplace that we've been at for so long, there's grief that comes with it. Not only was I grieving that person of me that worked with that company for 6 years, that had a clientele that I grew for 6 years, that I was this person that had this role, that this is what I did for 6 years of my life. Also grieving that friendship and that relationship that I had with my boss. Like, it's been a betrayal that's been near and dear on my heart. I didn't take it lightly. I'm still hurt from it, if I'm being completely honest. It literally, it blindsided me. Someone that I thought was in my corner and that was supportive, to just flip a switch just like that. It really just changed my perspective on things. But things ended up working out for me because I took that chance to quit. Because I took that time to realize, is my self-worth more than dealing with this? Is my mental health worth more than dealing with this? 100%. 100%. Your mental health and your self-worth is worth any job, especially when it comes to money security and job security. And I was willing to just throw that all away because it wasn't worth it. The stress wasn't worth it. All of it just wasn't worth it. If I didn't leave that job, I wouldn't be self-employed right now. It wouldn't have that situation. It forced me to become a, commission manager in salon vibe, being working for someone else's company, being paid by someone else's company, to really just be a self-employed person. And it's forced me to be a self-employed hairstylist, to where it's forced me to create this YouTube channel and share my story and to help people in these situations and to help and guide people to become self-employed, and all of the various different things that I have been doing on the side to showcase my skills and my abilities and to help people. I am a firm believer that things happen for a reason and things need to crumble in order for them to fall together. And honestly, if that situation didn't turn that way, I would probably still be working there till this day and building someone else's company up when I could be building my own company and business up. I do hope the way I quit and the way I ended things and how I got HR involved, I just really hope that no one else goes through this, because I can assure you it frickin' sucks. It's not fun. And that was my main thing throughout all of this. Is just what I even told HR is like, I just don't want anyone else to go through this. Let me lead by example. Let me share my story and use me as an example of, no, this isn't going to fly. This isn't how you treat your staff. This isn't how you treat your employees. And for the people who are going through their own situation at their place of work, where you feel like you're being bullied and signaled out and being discriminated against, my advice to you is to look up the laws and regulations on where you are. That helped me a ton to know what my rights are as an employee. When it comes to bosses bullying their employees, it's a little bit of a gray area. And I can assure you, just because that they're in charge of the place doesn't mean that we as employees don't have rights. So for anyone that is going through this, look up the laws and regulations in your place. Document everything. And when you document everything, try to take your emotions out of it and just say it for what it is. This happened at this time on this day, just point blank. If your company has HR, reach out to HR. If your company doesn't have HR, look into the laws of regulations on bullying and reach out to your province, state board, or wherever you are in the world. The last thing you want to do when you're being bullied is stay quiet, because your voice matters.